La famille biso nyonso toyebi ke Donald Trump azali komi beta tolo ke asilisi guerre na RDC na Rwanda. Boyebi ke président alekaki kuna na perchoir to na tribune ya Nations Unies abetaki yango nzoto na nzoto alobi soki vraiment Donald Trump a réussir kosilisa guerre ya Est ye moko akopesa ye prix oyo azali koluka prix ambassadeur de la paix kaka ndenge ezalaka. Alors boyeba ke ndenge eza boye na monde mobimba bayebi ke wana aza moto alokuta po président abelelaki malgré boyokaki ndenge parce que Donald Trump alekanaki wana abeleli kasi si Rwanda telle place telle place telle place. Président sikwa ye pa bandi koyebisa ye ke soki o réussir elingi koloba ke nano réussir te eloko oyo oza koloba ekendaka bongo ebisi indirectement pe président alobi ndenge ezali wana Rwanda abimisi ba troupe na ete aza ko continuer ko boma na côté ya Est kuna pe président abakisaki alobi makambo etali mabele na biso ya Congo eza non négociable ke o ndenge balobaki. Moi je vous dis que nde bomona ba accord nyonso baza kosalana ça ne sert à rien parce que clé oyo président to batu ya Rwanda bango baza na besoin ke ba côté kuna etikala ke Rwanda a géré yango. Président pe alobi côté kuna makambo etali makambo ya mabele o etangi souveraineté ya mboka na biso akonégocier yango ata mokie te. Bandeko alobaki yango na moni mama ba représentant ya Rwanda nde bakomaki mbako tala nde akitisi mutu azokoma donc babande kolanda président ndenge ande koloba donc phrase par phrase mot par mot ekendaki bongo sikoyo nazali koyela bino nini boyoka awa ba media ndenge tomboki ya mokili mobimba balobi président Félix Tshisekedi abengi Rwanda moto alokuta balobi boye le président le président de la République démocratique du Congo, Félix Tshisekedi, a déclaré que les troupes rwandaises restent présentes sur le sol de son pays et continuent de soutenir le groupe rebelle M23 malgré un accord signé entre le Congo et le Rwanda na Washington.
Where the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of delaying the implementation of a peace deal that the sides signed in Washington in June. President Félix Tshisekedi was speaking on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. He said Rwandan troops continue to be present on Congolese soil and are supporting the rebel M23 group. While the DRC is ready to make peace, Tshisekedi said that Rwanda was, quote, trying to gain time for the crisis to worsen. Fighting between the Congolese army and an M23-led rebel alliance has been ongoing in the eastern DRC for months now, a situation which has worsened the humanitarian situation in the region. In the Washington deal, part of Kinshasa's demands was for Rwandan troops to leave Congolese territory without conditions. The UN and other countries have long accused Rwanda of funding and supplying the M23 with weapons, allegations Kigali has always denied. The eastern DRC, a region bordering Rwanda and with abundant mineral resources, has been plagued by extreme violence for decades, with armed groups fighting government troops for mineral control. Well, CGTN's Chris Ochamringa is in Kinshasa and Ethan Tashobe is in Kigali, joining us live with more. Chris, let me start off with you because the DRC is accusing Rwanda of delaying implementation of a peace deal that the two sides signed in Washington in June. What more do we know on this?
Yes, that accusation made by President Félix Tshisekedi in New York is the first that he's making in quite a long time. But it is a view that's been widely held in Kinshasa among security officials and the government. They have been accusing Rwanda of undermining the peace efforts that were led by the United States. The Washington Accord that was signed in June 27th. They're saying Rwanda was supposed to withdraw its troops from eastern DRC, and DRC was supposed to disarm the FDLR. This is a Hutu militia that's been in the DRC trying to fight against the Rwandan government. So they're saying the Rwandan government has continued supporting the M23 rebels in that area. Recently we heard security officials in the DRC saying that they arrested a Rwandan soldier fighting alongside the rebels in North Kivu province. He was sent to Kinshasa for interrogation, and a couple of weeks ago the Minister of Communication said that the Rwandan government is frustrating all the peace efforts, the one in the United States and the one that's currently going on in Doha in Qatar. And he said that the Rwandan government has influenced the M23 rebels to continue occupying the areas that they are holding and to create a separate country. So the tensions are still very high. The two sides are still hostile towards each other, and they do not trust each other. So many observers are saying that, you know, the United States was very quick to have a peace deal, but these two parties, the principal actors in this conflict, are not really on talking terms, and that will be very difficult for them to come and make some concessions so that peace can be restored in Eastern DRC. Beatrice?
And Ethan, to you, how has Kigali responded to Kinshasa's accusations?
Beatrice, so far Rwanda has not issued any formal responses to the accusations from Kinshasa, but we are looking at the exchanges that we've seen online between officials from Kigali and those in Kinshasa. They've been quite hostile to each other in that sense. Looking at the responses, especially the conversations, the rebuttals online between Rwanda's Foreign Affairs Minister and the DRC's Minister of Information. Rwanda has continuously accused officials from the DRC of inciting some sort of violence in Eastern DRC, but also, not, sort of fueling the peace that has been talked about in the recent agreements and all that. So they're saying that what is talked about behind closed doors does not really reflect when it comes to the communication that is being relayed on social media and even in the Congolese media on that case, and that sort of leaves Rwanda with a bit of questions if indeed what is being discussed behind closed doors and what is being signed in principle is going to be implemented in long term. So at this point, we don't know what is going to happen with regards to the implementation itself and the accusations. Rwanda has remained silent. As a matter of fact, we're all expecting that there's going to be some sort of conflict at the UN General Assembly, but the President of Rwanda is currently engaged in international travels. He was in Azerbaijan right now. I think this mid-morning he has arrived in Cairo, Egypt, where he's meeting the President of Egypt. So we are yet to see if Rwanda is going to come out to address those accusations, or they're only going to continue engaging that, hoping that that there's going to be some sort of putting down their tools in terms of how they are approaching the communications and the sort of inciting some sort of anger on both ends to reduce, and then they can come to terms and discuss what needs to be discussed and also put into action on regards to the agreement.
So Chris, what is the latest, coming back to the ground now, what is the latest on the fighting in Eastern DRC? And do talk to us about efforts to implement the Declaration of Principles deal and the exchange of prisoners.
Well, that issue of the exchange of prisoners has made some progress. There's progress. About 2 weeks ago, both sides, the DRC and the M23, signed a prisoner exchange agreement, and they were commended by the United States advisor to Africa, saying that this is a very important step in trying to end that conflict. But we have not heard any public statement by the government in Kinshasa about the prisoners of M23 who have been released. You know, this is a very contentious matter. There are very many Congolese soldiers